19th century saw many great inventions like a car, a light bulb, and of course Coca-Cola. Everybody was optimistic and confident that nothing can go wrong. I mean, look at the mustache of these men. Everyone was optimistic that 20th century was gonna start off great. I wanna go war. Everyone was nervous because they knew a big war was coming soon. France wanted to take back some territory that they lost to Germany, and Germany wanted to take over the world. Also, they were trying to expand their navy, and that made Britain quite nervous. In the Balkans, many nations have been declaring independence with the help of Russia, and that pissed off Austria Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to preserve their empires, and they also shared their hatred for Russia. Furthermore, Serbia wanted the liberation of all the southern Slavs from Austria Hungary. To add fuel to the fire, European powers formed alliances, meaning when the war breaks out, it will get pretty ugly. Franz Ferdinand decided that it would be a great idea if he visited Sarajevo to ease the tensions in the province of Bosnia. He made one little mistake though. His car's route was literally published in the newspaper. Some assassins saw this and were waiting for him. One threw the bomb at his car and missed, but he injured one of his officers. So Franz Ferdinand decided to visit the officer in the hospital, but the driver took a wrong turn and ended up beside one of the assassins who killed Ferdinand. Austria-Hungary suspected that Serbia had something to do with it, so they sent them an impossible ultimatum, and when Serbia rejects, they declare war on them. Austria-Hungary and Germany are allies, and Serbia is good friends with Russia, who is allied with France, so everyone declares war on everyone. Germany wants to avoid war on two fronts, so they have a plan. They will move 80% of their troops into France, defeat France, and then they will move the rest of the troops into Russia while they are getting ready, defeat them, and then they will win the war. One small problem though, France's border with Germany is heavily fortified, and Germany has no time to fight through France's defenses, so they decide to go through neutral Belgium. Although they put up a decent fight, Belgian army is no match for the superior German army. UK, who up to this point decided to stay out of the war, decided to join because they guaranteed Belgian independence. What is worse for Germany is that Russia is ready for war earlier than they have expected, and it turns out that Austria-Hungary really sucks at fighting, so Germany has to help them out. Back on the Western Front, Germany was advancing and they were in reach of Paris, but then, while attacking, a gap opened up and Germans were pushed back. Any hope of quick win for the Germans vanished. Hoping to increase the support for war, Allies started fierce propaganda campaign portraying Germans as barbarians and aggressors. Allies and Germans then tried to outflank each other, but then they got stuck in a stalemate, so both of them dig into defensive positions, and this was the beginning of the trench warfare. Here's a little lore of the trench warfare. Two sides face each other within no man's land, being in between. To win, one side either needs to be overrun, or one of the armies has to give up. Thousands would die for barely any territorial gains. This type of warfare usually favored the defenders, so it was very frustrating for the Germans. To combat this, the Germans decided to use Zeppelin air raids on London and Paris to try to break the deadlock. It didn't do much damage as soon the raids would stop. Before the war, a conference was held to decide the rules of modern warfare, and using chemical weapons was not allowed. I will definitely not use chemical weapons. You promised? I promise. Germans then decided to ignore this and they started using mustard gas anyway. And to this day it is remembered as one of the worst horrors of the First World War. Meanwhile in the Balkans, Austria-Hungary still couldn't win against Serbia. They managed to capture Belgrade, but quickly lost it on a counterattack, so they were looking for help. Bulgaria had some ties to Germany and was happy to take some territory they thought it belonged to them. So together they knock out Serbia. Many civilians and military personnel retreated through Albania and to Greece when they then escaped by sea. Germany and Allies were frustrated that war was taking so long, so they decided to find new friends to help them win the war. Central Powers received boost when Ottoman Empire joined their side. Allies were not just sitting around though, they managed to convince Japan and Italy to join them. Italy previously had alliance with Germany and Austria Hungary, but they decided to switch the sides because it was a defensive alliance, and also they were promised a lot of new land. Allies then tried to strike into Ottoman heartland in the campaign of Gallipoli, but it was a big disaster. Ottoman got pushed back by the Russians and they failed to advance into Egypt. They needed someone to blame, and that would turn out to be ethnic Armenians living in their territory. In the following Armenian genocide, around 600,000 to 1 million Armenians were killed or deported. Germany then tried to convince Muslims in India to initiate a rebellion, but to their surprise, support for the British was high. Many people from British Raj served in the British Army and made significant contribution to the war effort. Hoping to disrupt Allied supply line, Germany began to sink Allied supply ships with their submarines. For now though, conditions on the front were brutal and the disease was rapid. Psychological damage on the soldiers was severe, and it's insane that millions of soldiers and civilians dedicated their lives to protect their homelands.